Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Today we have with us the Chairman of Central Electricity Regulatory Authority, Mr. Gireesh Pradhan, who will explain to us in very simple terms what exactly is going on in the power sector in our country. We are witnessing virtually power riots in some parts of the country. Uttar Pradesh is up in arms. People in Uttar Pradesh saying that they're not getting electricity for 12 to 15 hours a day. Jharkhand, people are complaining. Mr. Yashwant Sinha, former finance minister, quoted arrest in Jharkhand in protest against lack of electricity supply. Lo and behold, Delhi also in the last couple of days facing huge power shortages like never seen before. To discuss all this and much more, we have with us the chairman of the CERC. Welcome to our show, Mr. Gireesh Pradhan.
Thank you.
Very opportune time that we've chosen to discuss this peak demand in this peak heat that we are witnessing. So please tell us, what exactly is the problem? The power minister is saying there is enough power. It's just that the states are not willing to buy. Now, why are the states not buying? Can you just explain to us this puzzle?
Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to your show. Before we get into this, I think there's a little bit of a background that you and the viewers must
Sure, absolutely,
know about.
Yeah.
The power sector in India has been going through a reform process for the last many years. Now, in that process, we've put in place a lot of initiatives and processes to make a more vibrant power sector. And you probably be surprised to know that the capacity today is over 250,000 megawatts.
Yeah.
That's the generation capacity that is available to
and
the
you said
country.
this capacity could easily meet the needs of the country.
It can, and so the statement made by the Honourable Minister is correct insofar as that there is power which is available. However, unfortunately, the two or three things because of which we are not able to get this power across. The first one, of course, most importantly, is the financial situation of most of our distribution utilities. And the second is problems in terms of transmission and, to a large extent, the distribution network. The distribution network in most parts of our country is something which has been neglected. Mm-hmm. And whereas investment in that should have taken place and should have kept pace with the kind of investment that was done on the generation side, didn't take place. And that's why there are issues that are coming up. Added to that are issues of transmission, because you require a robust transmission system to get the power from the generating unit to the load centers, as we.
So that interstate imbalances can also be corrected.
Under the reforms process, there was a systematic attempt to increase the capacity of interstate transmission, basically to optimally use whatever resources we had. And to a large extent, we've created a capacity for interstate transfers.
It has happened, yeah. Power Grid Corporation has been in the forefront of that, right?
Definitely. And the entire country, and we hope in a short while, the four southern states also will be part of the same grid, the national grid.
If I'm not mistaken, Tamil Nadu, until some months ago, about 6 months ago, was not getting excess capacity from the north because of lack of transmission facilities, right?
The four southern states form a southern grid, which has a very tenuous link with the rest of the country, which is on one grid.
Okay.
In simple terms, one grid means that the frequency that's available in the northeast would be the same as available in, say, Gujarat or Maharashtra. So this is how the problem could be resolved in terms of having the southern grid being integrated with the rest of the country, and then you could have transfer of power taking place.
Okay. So, so essentially you're suggesting that more investments are needed in distribution, and similarly more investments in transmission to be able to sort of spread the total power capacity more evenly across the country, right?
Well, definitely you have to have improvements in the distribution system. You need to have more investments there, so that the problems of supply are looked at.
But tell me, currently now coming back to my first question, the problem, for instance, in Uttar Pradesh, there's a kind of ping pong being played between the center and the state government. State government says we are waiting for the center to meet our needs on coal as well as on power, and the center is saying there is enough supply of electricity, but the state is not picking up because it does not want to sell at a price which increases the losses of the state electricity board. So my understanding is that many state governments, for fear that their losses in their books will increase, they are not off-taking enough power to supply to the people. Is that correct?
Well, to some extent you're right. You see, what has happened is that the distribution utilities go to their respective regulators for setting a tariff. Now, unless that tariff is cost reflective, if it isn't cost reflective, the utility is going to make a loss on every unit that it's supplying to its consumers.
Which has been the case for many years.
Which is the case in many of the states.
The total losses that state electricity boards incur today is 70,000 crore if you net of subsidies, if you don't take subsidies.
Approximately the figure is that, and although the government had put in place a couple of years ago, I think a year ago, restructuring and a reforms package. However, that is yet to take shape.
Some states have joined that.
A few states, I think around 9 or 10, have shown interest in this, which is basically aimed at taking the short-term liabilities and setting them aside for the present, so that increases in tariff are not so high that they would be impossible to bring about. So basically, you take your short-term liabilities and put them aside, and you just have a current sort of cost of power which you are meeting. Even there, the problem has been that you've allowed the distribution utilities to accumulate their losses because of certain factors, very well intentioned to keep power, whatever power is being supplied, at a reasonable level. Now, the Act, which is the Electricity Act 2003, envisages that the state government does have the prerogative to decide which segment or which class of the population they would like to support.
Subsidize,
Subsidize. But that subsidy has to be given upfront to the distribution utility and has to be set apart, so that the distribution utility can then temper its tariff to the extent.
So essentially, what you're saying that the idea is not to interfere with pricing. Let the pricing be market determined.
Absolutely.
And after that, whoever you want to subsidize, the government can do it upfront.
Absolutely.
That's the understanding, right?
Absolutely.
So currently, my understanding is that most state electricity boards are supplying power at below cost. Is that true?
Well, many of them have tariffs which are lower than the average cost of supply,
and this is not sustainable, obviously.
Obviously, if you're in the if you're on the retail side, and you see, the problem is just not restricted to the distribution utility. This goes right through the value chain.
Okay.
You see, ultimately, the entire sector is dependent on the tariff that you're getting from the consumer. Well, that's what the lifeblood of the whole system. So if that's not commensurate with the cost of supply, then you are going to bleed. It's a slow bleed going on over the years. So that is one thing which has to be addressed and stemmed.
So essentially what you're saying is the 70,000 crore loss that exists today, before subsidies are given by the government, is bound to sort of balloon further unless these reforms, the reforms package which has been arrived at, which some states are joining, unless every state joins that and actually moves towards market tariffs. Is that what you're
Actually,
saying?
if they are very serious about it, it can be stemmed. I mean, they have to not just join; they have to be serious about it. They have to abide by the conditions of the restructuring package. Now, the issue is that how the whole matter is being dealt with is that the distribution utilities never had a chance to have any kind of surplus to invest in the infrastructure.
Okay.
I mean,
Maintenance
keeping up technological advance, newer equipment, just replacement.
Okay.
A transformer goes out, you can't replace it. It's not because you don't want to, but you don't have the resources. And that
In fact, I'm told this is one of the problems in Delhi. Some of the equipment actually it failed. Some of the equipment in the recent storm that Delhi witnessed.
Well, it was more, the storm affected more the transmission part of it. So many of the transmission towers were affected because of the high speed winds. So those need to be replaced. But in any distribution system, in any system which is, which is a running system,
you need replacement.
You need maintenance, replacement, need to address those issues.
Yeah.
Secondly, you also need to...
and you can only get that out of your profits, capital cost. If you don't have profits, then you...
I mean, if you're not making a little surplus, you're not going to be able to invest.
Yeah, we'll take a small break here and conclude this discussion. Please don't go away and keep watching RSTV. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We're having Gireesh Pradhan, Chairman of CERC, with us to discuss the power sector. Mr. Pradhan, you're talking about how state electricity boards need to make some profit in order to be able to reinvest in maintenance and other equipment, right? Absolutely. Now, which is not happening at all at the moment.
No, in fact, they're not even cutting, cutting even.
Yeah. So, I mean, where does this situation lead us? If this is the case, then should one conclude that power sector reforms are actually not headed in the direction that we had originally envisaged?
No, I think that would be extreme. That would be an extreme view. It's not that. There are examples where states have allowed their regulators of kept them at arm's length so that they were free to decide on tariffs. They've also not interfered with the state, the distribution utilities, and allowed them to seek an appropriate tariff. The issues for the distribution utilities also include improving efficiency, operational efficiency. The losses, which is referred to in parlance as the AT&C losses, the aggregate technical and commercial losses, are in some states really, really high.
Like, give me some examples. Like,
well, I wouldn't like to name the states, but they are above 40% in some states. And would need to be, brought down to a level which we had all decided at one time, that 15% was what was the ultimate.
So these states have obviously not done distribution reforms.
Well, they haven't really put in place schemes for controlling things like theft
and losses.
There are also technical losses. That again, it's a vicious circle. If you don't have the money, you're not going to invest in equipment. If you're not going to invest in equipment, you're not going to get the returns in terms of efficiency. So your technical losses would in fact remain at the same level. This ties in with what I was saying earlier. You need some amount of surplus to plow in there. But there are states which have been very successful.
Tell us some good states who have done all these reforms and are more viable than the others.
Well, states which have done quite well on this, Gujarat is an example. To some extent, Maharashtra has been successful.
Done well.
Yes. Some of the southern states have done well.
Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and all?
These states have shown good progress. Himachal has shown good progress. The whole issue is basically in terms of how much you allow your regulator to set a tariff which is cost reflective. Once that is done, then you have scope for the distribution utility to go out on one hand and collect a proper return. At the same time, you try and reduce your aggregate technical and commercial losses, so that you take steps against leakage, against all kinds of leakage, and other technical parameters. So once you bring that, it's a win-win situation on both sides. So you're getting a tariff which is which pays for your cost of supply, and you also are reducing the losses and therefore improving operational efficiency.
Tell me, I just need your understanding, if you can tell us, what separates states which are performing well in terms of reforms and in terms of rationalization of tariffs, etc., as opposed to states which are not doing well. Like you named some states which are doing well. Now, is one to conclude that states which are generally better off and which have higher per capita incomes, where people have the ability to pay more market linked tariffs, are the states where the state utility boards are in much healthier condition, as opposed to states like UP, which UP has huge demand, peak demand of in summers of 17,000-18,000 megawatts, but people not able to afford to pay the kind of tariffs linked to costs. Is that the case? Is that why this sector is also so politicized? Like oil is politicized. Now, how politicized is the electricity sector?
I wouldn't go that far as to say that all states who have high per capita incomes are states which are per se doing well on the power side, on the power sector side. That's not. I mean, I don't think that kind of a relationship can be drawn.
But the ability to pay would be more, no? Ability to pay for power would be more. Average consumers, right?
Definitely, but there would be segments even in those states which would not. So it's how the state government would be handling that problem. Please understand that there would be sections and there would be classes where you would have to lend some kind of support. Now, the ideal way of doing it is, of course, by giving a subsidy directly to the beneficiary. That's the most ideal way that you can do it. Then there is a tariff, and because I'm getting a direct subsidy from the government, I defray against that particular tariff. There is also in this particular area something that could be tried in terms of allowing the consumers to be subsidized by the richer consumers. I mean, this is what is called
cross-subsidization.
Cross-subsidization.
But that's been happening, right? The industry has been cross-subsidizing.
The industry
households and farmers
or other well-to-do consumers can be subsidizing these people. The Act envisages that there would be a tapering off of this, because that would be. However, at present, that's lent on very heavily by the distribution utilities, where one segment of the consumers, which is the
so this heavy cross-subsidization already happening.
Yes.
But tell me, there's another aspect of reforms in the power sector which came to the fore in the last 2-3 years in the wake of the coal controversy, right? The coal allocation controversy, which is a subject of inquiry by various investigation agencies. Now, I'm told that the previous power minister, Mr. Moily, once told me that all those who got coal on a nomination basis, which is like virtually free, they would naturally be expected to supply, if they're using it for generating power, they would supply power at regulated tariffs. They cannot sell power in the merchant, in the open market, right? So, is that principle being followed today?
Well, the whole idea of
Because if you're getting free coal, then you can't be selling power at 8 rupees, as had happened some years ago. In some companies selling merchant power.
well, basically, the idea of giving a coal mine is to see that one part of the input, important part, the fuel part of it, is totally under the control of the generator, and therefore it is reflected in the kind of tariff he charges or he is allowed. Now, the problem right now is that there is a severe crunch as far as coal is concerned.
Sure.
We are facing a shortage in terms of coal. We have a tremendous shortage in terms of gas. I mean, 20,000 megawatts of capacity is
So tell us something about the coal shortage. What is the cause of shortage? Is it because a lot of these coal mines allocation are stuck in?
Many of the ones, of course, that is one aspect. The other aspect is some of the mines which were given and are with many of the developers have not come on stream. Okay. So it's taken a very long time for them. There's some amount of reforms that the coal sector needs also to get into and work on, so that you have more efficient ways of extracting the coal and supplying it.
Demonopolize coal production?
Well, I suppose whatever it takes. I mean, even in the present situation, the public sector undertaking needs to take advantage of whatever technological improvements have taken place, the latest technology, to extract more efficiently coal that is really available. Because unless you increase the supply of coal, you see, your biggest strength is presently the thermal generation, coal-based. So if you're not going to be able to feed fuel to them, you are going to have a crisis on your hands as the demand increases. Demand will increase once the economy picks up, once manufacturing, once the industry picks up. As it gains momentum, the demand on electricity is going to be much higher, and vis-a-vis that, the demand on coal is going to be much higher. So I think we need to look at seriously issues of supply, of fuel supply.
But you said in the beginning that there is enough capacity. Yes. Like 250,000 megawatts capacity.
Approximately 250.
And if I'm not mistaken, our peak demand is about 160,000 megawatts.
150, yes.
Yeah, 150, 60. So assuming that some plants are under maintenance, but it should be easily met given the supplies, the capacity that we have. The entire country theoretically should have 24/7 power supply?
Theoretically, you should be able to meet the supply. But there are also constraints in terms of transmission. There are constraints in terms of transferring power from one place to another.
So for a whole host of reasons.
Yeah, transmission corridors are congested. You don't have that much. Although you really improved on transmission over the last.
So basically, you're saying that if all these things are improved and if tariffs are rationalized, you can even today give 24/7 power supply to the country, people in the country, right? That's what if all these problems are solved, right?
Well, these problems can't be solved overnight. I mean, you have transmission corridors not easy to build.
Yeah, sure.
You take time to make transmission corridors.
So it'll take a few years. Thank you very much, Mr. Gireesh Pradhan, for talking to us and clarifying a whole range of issues. That's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back with you next week. Thanks for watching.